Hello everyone. This was a good week of chapters despite there being no One Piece, as everything continues to build and lead to some surprising moments. So we'll be starting off with Black Clover, chapter 339, and this was a good chapter showing Asta is still hurt by what happened in the Clover Kingdom and desperate to return. However, Yami's sister continues to berate him for his disrespectful tone towards the shogun and even reprimands him for not accepting the shogun's grace by saving his life, which eventually Asta then understands, calms down, and thanks the shogun for saving his life after they had left the town square, made it to where he had recovered and met the doctor who did the recovering. We also see that Libby is safe and sound, though seemingly also with a giant scar on his chest, so he also was hurt from the fighting with Lucius. When we see that Asta is desperate to get stronger, but knows he pretty much can't, he's been doing nothing but training for as long as he can remember, and he's pretty much peaked, until he finds out that he can use ki in a way that would allow him to use it offensively. It's demonstrated by Yuno's little sister, where she's able to cut down a bamboo tree with just her hand at a distance because of the ki, able to use explosive force or whatever because it's concentrated. Asta understands the theory and puts it to use, which then, after a delayed response, eroded another bamboo tree because it was grown with magic, so it got rid of the magic. So he has a way of training to get stronger once again, to which case he thanks Yami's little sister and is thanking everyone in advance for helping him get stronger. So the chapter itself was good in that regard, just seeing Asta healthy and trying to figure out what to do next while being reprimanded on trying to act too rashly. Now, the bigger thing of this chapter was the fact that Asta thought he had peaked. He would basically reached as high as he could go, but with this new revelation leading it that he could get even stronger, because the truth of the matter is Asta wasn't going to become strong enough to defeat Lucius without some sort of plot convenience if he were to just go right back. Now he has a way of training and getting one final step stronger to at least a level of Wizard King, because before he was at captain's level, but that was about it. He could not get higher. Despite his anti-magic, all of them probably were going to start being able to outmaneuver him, and he was going to start falling behind. So the fact that now he gains a new technique and a new way of fighting allows him to elevate one more time, if not potentially just even further in general, to reaching a higher level, allowing him to be able to fight toe-to-toe with, say, Yuno or Yami or any of the other captains. So it was good to see that, and rather interesting way of putting that, because it's not necessarily hard work versus natural talent. It's closer to reaching your ceiling when you thought you had more ceiling to go, and trying to figure out a way to get past your first ceiling. As Yami says, push past your limits, and that's what now Asta is able to do to reach an even higher potential. So overall, I think I'll give this chapter a B. It was good seeing Asta continue to learn about this area, to see how other characters interact with each other, and how Asta is now able to get stronger one more time, and what way he will get stronger, allowing him to almost go into battle barehanded and be able to fight tooth and nail with some level of now magic at his disposal. So we'll see how far this can go and push him to what level and height he can go. So for now, we at least get to see that he is now training in some way to get stronger and potentially be that ultimate X factor to save the day, because as the Shogun had pointed out, if Lucius kind of breaks free from the Clover Kingdom, it'll be bad for just about everyone, because nothing's going to really be able to stop him. So now we're on to Mission Yozakura Family, chapter 149, and this was a good chapter showing the beginning operation of the Yozakura family rescuing the rest of the family, excluding Momo, as we see that the plan was for them to get in there and rescue the siblings first and prioritize it, while the eldest brother plans on staying behind and taking care of their father, Momo. They all seem reluctant, but know that that's probably what's best for everyone, is for him to take on Momo by himself and hopefully win, because he's the only one who's probably strong enough to do so, as we get to see them making the plans. And the eldest brother basically was going to set up the matchups unless someone had anything specific in mind, when Kyo spoke up and offered to fight Shinzo because he is the most physically durable and can take on his powerful hits without too much of an issue, while trying to keep Shinzo from freaking out that he's hurting his siblings. So we see them traveling to this grand dining room where we see Shinzo and Futaba, and that's when Teo attacks first, separating Futaba from Shinzo, allowing the two groups of siblings to fight more or less evenly, because if it was 2-on-4, things would not have went well, but 1-on-2 seemingly has better odds for the hero's side. So the battles are Kengo and Teo versus Shinzo, and then the other is Futaba versus the eldest and youngest brothers. So they should be pretty interesting, and Momo has all but disappeared at the moment, which the eldest brother had kind of predicted that he would do, so we'll have to see where Momo's going. I almost assume he's going to infiltrate onto the helicopter somehow and take the two sisters that are up there, but we just don't know yet. He's off walking around, probably taking care of the gold rank spies before moving on to more important escapades. So overall, I think I'll give this chapter a B. It was good seeing the operation commence and the matchups be made. Now, I don't know who's going to win which ones. I can imagine the good guys winning both of these, only to then lose because the sisters are taken or something. Or, as I said, some of those who we've gotten to learn more about their gold-ranked counterparts get captured and brainwashed or something. But for now, we at least have our matchups and where it's going to go from here, as it's probably just going to battle back and forth for a few chapters before revealing where Momo is at the worst possible moment. So now we're on to Undead Unluck, chapter 129, and this was a pretty great chapter showing the continued battle with the Sun and the Union, as we see that Victor has been watching on and wants to tag in for the last time, as he will finally achieve what he had set out to do, which is release Juiz from this torment. So Andy agrees, saying to come back to their mind palace, in a manner of speaking, so that he may undertake the 4 billion year wait for the Earth to reform, as now it's his job. And so Victor seemingly is giving up control to Andy after this, after he is able to achieve his long goal of seeing Juiz die, as he doesn't understand why he feels such warmth from her and can't really explain it, but wants to at least see it and feel it one more time, it seems. So you see the two of them charge towards the Sun, trying to battle, as Victor shows that he is still stronger than Andy, which surprises many of the people around, thinking that Andy had held back, when the Sun just blasts a beam of energy at the two of them, which they would have surely died if they didn't have a sacred treasure, a sacred artifact, which was Aegis, the all-too-powerful shield, as well as Rebellion, which was this super sword, which really got Luna excited, the fact that 2 of the 3 sacred artifacts were brought together here, giving Juiz a real opportunity to win. After 99 loops, she was really able to pull off a miracle by obtaining both of them. So we see that the two of them are getting ready for an assault on Sun, when Juiz is confused why Rebellion, the sword, was given to her instead of Victor. Victor then explains that Rebellion works on the hatred towards an individual, and after Victor tried to kill her, he had no more anger and hate towards the Sun. But Juiz never stopped hating the Sun, and so she was the best candidate for it, and so she poured all 99 loops, all millions of years, into the sword, which seemingly supercharged it. And so the next chapter should be the battle between Juiz and the Sun, and to see what damage she is able to inflict upon the Sun. So that was the chapter. I think it was pretty good. Overall, I think I'll give this chapter an A. I think it was pretty great to see the final stand of Victor and Juiz, as Fuko is still looking on, horrified to see everything that's happening, while Luna is watching on, somewhat more intrigued by everything, watching as like a genuine commentator and spectator, being giddy when some of her artifacts make it onto the battlefield and able to see them in action, as she has never been able to do so before. So this looks like the best opportunity the Union and humanity in some way, shape, or form have ever been able to do. So it'll be interesting to see how the battle is able to unfold, because up until this point it did not look good for our heroes, but now it's up in the air to see who's going to win, because Juiz and Andy now have 2 of the 3 sacred artifacts to kill God, as they're seemingly the only things to do so, though they are missing something, though I don't know what that something is. So it'll be interesting to see how far 2 of them can go. So now we're on to Mashle, Magic and Muscles, chapter 226, and this was a good chapter showing Lemon and the small apprentice facing off against the guy with a 3-headed dog, and the battle was back and forth-ish as Lemon was able to dodge around from any of the attacks until eventually unbinding the dog and bonding with the dog, as well as binding up the enemy who was controlling the dog. Once she got control, she tried to have it attack its former master, but the guy is too powerful. But she continues to defend Mash tooth and nail and won't give up on him until eventually the Sword Divine Visionary, the one with the literal sword that has been on Mash's side, arrives to defend him as well and save Lemon. Now, the mini apprentice had been flipping back and forth, and it was rather funny to see each time that he would be really sleazy, and it was just really funny to see him just swap sides to whichever side looked like it was about to win, eventually jumping too soon from the evil team back to the good team because he thought that the dogs would be a lot stronger. So overall, I think I'll give this chapter a B. It was rather fun just seeing Mash's little group here of friends, quote unquote, trying to save him, as well as seeing Lemon actually do some things which we hadn't seen up until that point. So it was pretty fun to see all of that, as well as to see that the Sword Divine Visionary had arrived to save the day. Now, I'm pretty certain he'll win this fight relatively easily, and he will help turn Mash's key so that he is revived. So the next few weeks should be pretty fun just to see what type of antics will happen there, as well as we still have 2 other fights up on the castle between the Divine Visionaries and the Sons of Innocent Zero. So now we're on to Sakamoto Days, chapter 89, and this was a good chapter showing that the director and the older teacher are fighting tooth and nail, as they seemingly did know each other, as the director had already made a film on her before, and so then once he realized that, he had no care to continue filming, as he does not believe in sequels. Once that happened, her throwing techniques didn't seem to work on him anymore, as he was only ever letting her do what she wanted to get the perfect shot, it would seem. So they continue to battle back and forth when we cut back to Sakamoto trying to continue to locate the database with Akira, as he is worried about Shin when Akira says he's powered up, and we hear on like the intercom that the masochist tries to brainwash everyone again, as it doesn't work on Sakamoto. I do wonder why, but it did work on Akira, and the entire student body are also brainwashed now, whoever heard the PA, the intercom, and Sakamoto is able to snap out Akira, and they now know they have to run and sprint to protect the database, as the masochist had brainwashed everyone to go and destroy the database. So we see more of the masochist as he's trying to find someone that would make him feel anything, because he can't feel anything physically. So he's very weird, though he doesn't seem all that powerful outside of his brainwashing ability. We then see the conclusion, seemingly, of the battle between the older teacher and the director, as they keep going back and forth, when the brainwashed students make it into their area of fighting and distract the teacher, who is trying to snap them out of it and protect them, and the director takes advantage and seemingly cuts her throat right in front of Sakamoto and Akira, who are running past. So now I imagine Sakamoto is going to fight the director and potentially win with or without Akira's help. So it'll be interesting to see how that happens, as it looks like things are heating up. So overall, I think I'll give this chapter a B, because its battle was interesting between the teacher and the director, and the masochist brainwashing everyone, adding another heightened level of danger to the janitor, who is the database. So we'll see who ends up on top. Sakamoto's group to save the database, or Slur's group in killing the old man. So it'll be interesting to see which side happens, though I still can imagine that now with all this brainwashing that it'll end up being the grandson that might accidentally destroy the database because he knows who it is because of all of the discussion. So he would have the best chance to do so while brainwashed because of the masochist. So a lot of intrigue going on, and next week should be pretty fun. So that was all of the main chapters. They were all pretty good, with Black Clover showing that Asta can continue to grow stronger. Mission Yozakura had the mission begin to rescue the siblings. Undead had the battle escalate even further, as now Juiz and Victor have a real chance at defeating the sun if they're able. Mashle showed that Lemon was more dedicated to MASH than anyone thought, and Sakamoto had the brutal battle between the teacher and the director, just showing how strong the director truly is, as we've seen thus far everyone else struggle against the teacher, while he is able to pull off the feat that no one thought possible by wounding her. So now for everything else, My Hero was fine, Jujutsu Kaisen was fine, and Blue Box was fine. Elusive Samurai was good, as we find out that their plan was to exhaust the main general through various antics to level the playing field. So the bodyguard of the main character is able to go toe-to-toe with the enemy general, so it'll be interesting to see how that battle unfolds. I imagine the good guys will win, or that the enemy generals will interfere for the 100th time and they'll have to run away. P times 6 was good, as we find out more about the other character that's on Lucky's team who has been pseudo-tutoring him. We see that he's an interesting character and has an intense ability to mimic others' playstyles, but he has to feel how they feel, which he's struggled with, especially with the brother of Lucky that just went, who is seemingly the empty king, as the character had called him. So things are getting interesting over there, as now Lucky wants to stop the fighting for the piano and wants to simply do it for fun, as that's the whole point to him on what playing the piano is. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes, given that the one brother that's left that Lucky will have to go after probably won't honor that, and we'll see how Lucky responds. Super Smartphone was good, as we find out that the main villain finds out about who the main character is, as well as his connection to each other. We find out that that connection was the last piece for the mastermind of the Super Smartphone to send them out, that then they're all connected through some level of death, showing that the main character's brother is probably dead, though given the main villain not quite outing that he might still be alive, it's up in the air, who knows. But we now know for certain that the main villain is the one who took the main character's brother or killed him, and so the main villain decided to throw an accusation through his site that he uses his smartphone to upload the correct information onto, so that it's always believable, and had it planted that the main character was the one who did the high-rise incident that they're still investigating. So now the main character's parents are in trouble, and knowing the villain that they will somehow end up being killed, leaving the main character with absolutely nothing except for his wish to get rid of the main villain. So things could get very interesting here, and I look forward to the next chapter. Aliens Area was good as the mission begins, though I think this series is probably closer to ending than many of the other ones, as it feels that it's rushing to the end. Like, it feels like it's kind of speeding up. Things are happening far faster than I think they necessarily would normally be. So I would have to say we probably got 10-15 chapters left before we hear the final chapters coming out. So we'll see. It was a good chapter though. Ginka and Luna continue to be very fun, as it was another good chapter showing more fairy tale vibes, as now an arrogant witch shows up trying to be superior but Ginka and Luna don't really care, so we'll see how they end up surviving their way to the 7-star location that they got the quest for. So again, a lot of fairy tale vibes, another very, very good chapter. So that was all of the chapters. I think this was a pretty good week overall, despite no One Piece, but One Piece is, I think, back next week, so that should be pretty fun, and it should be interesting to see where a lot of these other chapters go. So if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, and as always, thank you for watching.